This is a blow-by-blow description of the Omaha police officers hurting Robert Wagner on May 29 after 3 a.m. at Creighton University Hospital. What you'll see first is Robert Wagner and his girlfriend walk through the frame. Robert is upset because his closest cousin has been killed earlier this evening. Now you'll see him with his hands together walk up to an officer, and he called her a bad name. The officer grabs his arm and he pulls his arm away from the officer. He's not moving, he's not hitting anybody. He pulls his arm away, and then you'll see the officer's hand. Here he pulls his hand away, and you're going to see the officer's hand right there. And then you'll see the officers come and rush Robert, the first officer. So that was Officer 1. Here's Officer 2. Officer 2 pulls out his billy club here, and he hits Robert several times. There's Officer number 3. I'm not sure if Officer 3 or this officer, number 4. Officer number 4 is tasering him. Officer number 3 is kneeing his eye, and then he takes his head down and slams his head into the pavement about 3 times. Now you've got 2 officers tasering him. Those are Officers 5 and 6. Now the officer that slammed his knee into his eye and slammed his head on the ground 3 times is now punching him 8 times. Officer that tasered him is kicking him in the head now, and with great force, that she has to have her arms up in the air as she kicks him there. And then she backs up to get a little better approach, and then she kicks him again. Look at her arms up in the air. And the officer to her right is also kicking Robert in the head. The officer that slammed his head, hit him 8 times, is also going to stand. He's kicking him also right there. You can see him kicking him in the head. There he kicks him again. Now, Robert is not resisted except for when he pulled his hand away from the first officer. Now you can see several officers. See that he's still being kicked in the head by the officer that kneed him in the eye, hit him 8 times, kicked him in the head earlier. He was kicking him there again. Now he's stomping on his hand. The officer on top of him is holding his hand out, and this other officer is stomping on his hand. Now they're going to move, so this officer that's on his top, the highest officer, is going to move her knee up on his back here in just a minute and put pressure on his back in a place so that it makes it very hard for him to breathe. Now, this happened very quickly. Some of this is in slow motion so that it's easier to see how many people are hitting Robert. And here you just saw the officer move her knee up. Looks like a man, but it's a woman officer on top of him. Making it hard for him to breathe. This goes on for 2 minutes and 21 seconds. She or someone is also continuing to taser Robert. The officer, the one where you can see his head at the top part of the frame and the other two officers surrounding him, you cannot see their heads. The officer where you can see his head there towards the between those two officers has his knee on Robert's head, grinding it into the pavement. Now he gets up. And you can see Robert is handcuffed, but she stays on his back, making it hard for him to breathe. Now, held in this position too long, positional asphyxiation can lead to death. Sometimes this cause of death is incorrectly called excited delirium. But after being held in this position for close to 2 minutes, Robert is telling the officers that it's hard for him to breathe and to get the officer off his back so he can breathe. The female officer who kicked him in the head with great force will come over and kick him in the head one more time. Tasers have been used against him repeatedly. Extreme force was used. Much more force than required for 11 officers and security people to subdue one man. Robert Wagner is a good man. He never drinks alcohol. He never smokes tobacco. He never smokes any or uses any other drug. He volunteers his time with his children at the Boys and Girls Club. He got an award in 2010 from the Boys and Girls Club for his outstanding efforts to help the kids at the Boys and Girls Club. He's at all of their games, rooting them on. He just does a lot of different things for them. And this is how we treat him in Omaha, Nebraska.